If you're watching this video, I'm going to be talking about Why Women Kill, the TV show. So I'm assuming that you've seen this second season and perhaps the first one, because the second season pretty much has a whole new plot, whole new characters. And I love shows. I love shows that do the whole, like, switch everything up the next season. Like, they it gives them a lot more freedom, and I love having watching shows that have that freedom to pretty much create an entirely different story. And this season is basically, excuse that noise because my husband is working on our siding on our house. Um, so basically, this story, yeah, the only character that I really felt like, okay, he's just really the good guy was Vern, the private detective, the private detective, and that was because it was like no matter the cost, like they even talked about on the show, the narrator was saying that he's a righteous man, no matter the cost, he's willing to chase down the truth, no matter what, situation. And so he was the only one who was like a truly the good character of the show to me. But him just alone being a private detective and the detective, sorry, and the fact that in previous situations he took money basically to do things that to me weren't 100% above board. Like, okay, just because someone gives you money to go take a photo of um, Rita wanted him to basically catch Catherine and Scooter in a compromising position. And it's like, okay, just because she gives you money, you're going to do that. You didn't know the complete picture as far as what her reasoning was for that, but you're willing to do that. Um, but, it was kind of like everybody in the show had their code. So I guess it's like for Vern, he just couldn't let someone who's like these serial killers and these murderers pretty much continue to do that. But any other little petty situation that he can make money off of, then he was fine with doing that. And it was the same with Bertram and Alma, which I thought was very interesting because it's like, okay, we have two people who are basically killers and murderers, but they have their own codes and they have their own motivations for doing it. And I thought that was pretty interesting to explore because ultimately, to me, it's like, okay, you're both murderers. It doesn't matter what and why you're doing what you're doing. You both deserve to be locked up. You both deserve to be off of the streets and put away somewhere. But I thought it was interesting the way that they explored that, and it almost made it comical in some ways because it's like, okay, here we have Bertram. He kills people because he wants to end their suffering, but it's not like he's getting their consent. It's not like they're voicing to him that, oh, I need somebody to help me kill myself or anything like that. He basically took it upon himself to do this without those people having knowledge. He's just killing them because it relieves his own compulsions, and it goes all the way back as a on the show. Went all the way back to his childhood, where he actually helped his mom commit suicide, but it almost became a compulsion for him because of that situation. But it was just kind of funny on the show because it's like, okay, Alma, she's killing people and she's setting up people to take the fall for what she's doing. And then towards the end of the series, in the finale, when she literally just murders Rita in cold blood, just in the heat of the moment, passion. It's like, okay, from the beginning, she kind of, it was like, she was working her way. She started off just lying and covering up stuff to setting up situations to now just being a full blown murderer. But her reasonings was because she wanted power. She wanted to be seen. She wanted to be famous in the eyes of people in the town and that kind of thing. She wanted to feel like somebody, and so she did all of what she did in order to feel powerful, in order to kind of one up other people. But it was just so comical on the show because it's like, and it was interesting to kind of explore. And I love shows that do that, where you really get to explore, like, not just to say, oh, this person's bad, this person's good, but just explore how the human mind works and the way humans can rationalize pretty much anything. But at the end of the day, it was like everybody had their limits. Everyone had their limits as far as what they were willing to do. Like for Bertram, it's almost like he had a code. Like, I murder people to end their suffering, but I give them a sedative. I make sure they're calm. I'm playing music. I make them feel safe before they're dead. Whereas Alma, she's just straight killing people. She's just straight murdering people. She doesn't care how she does it. She doesn't care if they're scared or um, knowing now that they're gonna die, and she doesn't care the method. If she causes them pain in their death, she doesn't care. And you see how viciously she attacked and murdered Rita in the end. But it was just like funny. Like Bertram had his own code, but to me, I'm just like screaming at the TV, like, "You're both the same. You're both the same." Like it doesn't really matter ultimately what your rationale is for all these things. We're both freaking murderers. Um, and then so it was just interesting, kind of showing how everyone has their limits, or how everyone has their own motivations for and their own quote unquote codes of conduct as far as how they try to go about certain things. But I also thought it was interesting with Alma that you get to see somebody who basically either doesn't have any limits, or basically over time, when it comes to something that they want and they really desire, they're willing to keep moving the goalposts. They're willing to keep changing what their limit is. And it's so easy to start off just lying, and then you rationalize that until now, like with her, you're setting people up for things that you did accidentally, like with the first with Mrs. Jones dying accidentally, but they went to lengths to conceal it. But going from that point to actually just like, okay, I'm a stone cold murderer. I don't care. I'm gonna do whatever I can do so that I can maintain and continue to get what I want. And it's like every time she got what she wanted, then she wanted more. Like she finally got into the garden club. Then she wanted to be president. It just kept going for her. So I thought it was really interesting with that. Other interesting things. This show did similar to the first season, in which they did have us go into a different era where we're going to, I'm assuming it was like around the 1950s or so. So, and I thought it was beautiful just how they showed how people dressed, and we got to see like Alma's transformation over time, how she became so much more glamorous looking from like the dowdy kind of shy, timid, kind of frumpy housewife after at the beginning of the show. So that was really, I love that aspect of it. Some of the dialogue I know was supposed to be like the way people spoke at that time, but like a lot of the OGs, it was just a little bit like, really. I know people use that as a term, but I don't know. Sometimes it just felt like, I mean, I felt like it was there for comedic purposes, but I don't know. It was just overused a little bit too much for me. And then I felt like Scooter's character, it was just like, okay, he was this dumb gigolo. But the way he kind of talked reminded me of like some of those old shows, like Leave It to Beaver or something. Just the way he kind of talked or something. It was almost like they wanted him to just be like this caricature. Like he kind of almost reminded me of like Eddie Haskell or something from Leave It to Beaver or something like that. I don't know. But it actually was interesting that even though he was kind of seen as like this dumb jock, at the end of the day, he ended up faring pretty well, even though he was surrounded by all of this stuff going on. He actually still ended up finding some nice woman that he could be a gigolo for, I'm assuming. And so he still continued to be a kept man. But I mean, he never really changed throughout. He was dumb at the beginning, he was dumb at the end. But he stayed the same in the fact that it's just like, okay, if I can find a woman that's gonna take care of me, and I got this, handsome face, I'm just gonna use that for my what I can use it for and make it do what it do, and that's it, that's all. And that's pretty much all we got from him. Um, and of course, we got a little bit of a happy ending. I like the way that the show tied up overall because at the end of the day, Vern and Dee, they have their child, the child that's technically Scooter's, but is being raised by Vern along with Dee. So they end up having their intact marriage and having the baby, which at the final couple episodes, it did kind of feel like, okay, was Alma gonna try to kill Vern because he's snooping too much? And she actually did try to set up a plot, but it didn't work out that way because um, Bertram was pretty much like, he did put the gun up to him, but he didn't go through with it, and so basically, he talked to Vern and confessed everything and said that, okay, well, if you could just give me a little bit time before you go to the police. And then that's when he decided to commit suicide and kill himself with the same drug that he had been killing people with. He gave himself the sedative and put on some music and stuff and then injected himself while Alma was there watching. And she was, before he did that, he talked to her about, why don't you commit suicide with me? We'll go together, if you get locked up. But Alma, she wasn't trying to die. And at the end of the day, I just kind of felt like she just, she started trying to come up with all kind of reasons as far as how she could get off. And I just feel like she just thought that and she was always thinking that she was smarter than everybody else, that she could always one up someone. And that's why I was like, even when Bertram was injecting himself with um, the medicine to kill himself, I'm like, okay, I know she's not gonna do it. Like, you should have had her take it first if you want to make sure that she was not, going, to just make sure. Because I'm like, this woman is not gonna kill herself. She's gonna always come up with some reason as far as how she can try to be one step ahead of everyone, even though it's like, okay, they saw the blood on your shawl, they saw that you were out there, they saw Rita in the alley. Like, the jig is up, but it's like she still thinks that she can maneuver a way out of it. So it's like, I knew she was not going to kill herself. And I just knew she was not going to kill herself. And so Bertram, commits suicide, just that, not wanting to face all the repercussions of what he did. Um, so in a sense, it's like, I can't feel sorry for him. That wrapped up things tidily because it's like, okay, you're still a murderer just because you weren't doing it for quote unquote power. You were doing it for your own compulsions, and you still murder a lot of people. You still needed to be put away from society And at that time, you know, especially, they would put you to death over something like that. So it's like you still, you know, didn't face the music, but I felt like that was resolved fairly well. Now, Alma, she basically, the police start to surround the house after Bertram kills himself. And so, yeah, she went to trial and she ended up being put on death row. But what was so funny, and so I love the way they did that at the end, how they showed her walking into the courthouse, I believe, walking up the stairs with all the people surrounding, the press, everything out there, people yelling and with signs, basically, you know, calling her a murderer and all that stuff. But in her eyes, she saw that as, wow, I have fame. You know, everybody knows my name now. Like, I'm really being seen. You know, the way that she had always wanted to be seen throughout the entire, you know, her entire life. And it's just like, for her, she's still like, okay, well, even if I'm not, I can be infamous. Like, I'll take it, even though it's like, okay, you're going to death row, you're going to be put to death. But in her mind, it's like, it's what she wanted. She got the ultimate. And so I thought that was fitting, because it's like, okay, well, you're still going to face um, the music as far as what you did. Like, if that's, you know, she was just, it just seemed like to me, okay, she's delusional. She has some level of grandiosity, she has some level of delusions of grandeur. And so for her to, you know, turn that around where she thought that that was a good thing, it just like really goes to show like how the extent of her, like, insanity was all there all along for me, you know. And so, you know, I thought it was interesting, because it's just like, okay, so what if your husband didn't end up being a serial killer like this? Would she have still done the things that she's done? And based on her behavior, I feel like, yes, she's one of those people who would have probably been like some type of opportunistic type of killer, or opportunistic, where, because this is what she really wanted and she was just fed up with the way her life was, she was going to do everything and anything in her power for that to come true. And once she got a little bit of taste of power, it was just like insatiable, like she could not stop. And so I really loved the way that everything wrapped up. And it was, and so I definitely, if you have not checked out Why Women Kill, I definitely would recommend you watch this first. The first season was good as well. You know, I love the second season even better. So I'm definitely can't wait to check out um, season 3. Hopefully they'll get picked up for season 3 if they haven't already got plans for it. But I love the show. And um, you know, at the end of the day, it's like you can tell that even though it's like Why Women Kill, um, it's not like it's endorsing, it's just exploring the motivations as to why people do things, and why people get, you know, but it's not really telling you. I mean, it is still telling you, it's the narrator, everyone, the show still kind of makes you feel that, you know, there's still a right and a wrong. It's not like they're condoning, or it's gratuitous as far as like the way that they portray things. And I like that about the show, but it does make you think. And so that's my review basically on season 2 of Why Women Kill. I will be doing some other reviews. Stay tuned to me, okay? And once again, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and please comment on this video. If there's anything that you want me to review, you can leave a comment below. And I will see you all next time. Bye.